Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, morning we discussed up to 13 backwards. So now we have to discuss from this 12th one onwards. Okay, some of you might have tried these questions and you might have even completed also. But I'm just discussing in general for everyone. Yeah. Okay, 12th question. The number of non-negative integer solutions, that is 0 or positive, they gave only two equations but three unknowns. 6x plus 4y plus z is equal to 200. X plus y plus z is equal to 100. Okay. Actually, for this, if you don't tell they are integers, then we have infinite solutions. Because we have only two equations, but the unknowns are three. For example, you fix z, you take z equal to 7 or 100 or 1000, whatever you want. Fix z, it will become two equations in terms of x and y, you can find x and y. So we can solve in different ways. For example, let us eliminate z. Then when you directly subtract the equations, you will get 5x plus 3y is equal to 100. Now we got a relation between x and y. If somebody want to eliminate y, they want to get a relation between x and z or y and z, they can, for example, you can multiply 6 and subtract also. 6 times second equation minus first equation. If somebody does that, 6x, 6x will cancel. 6y minus 4y is 2y. 6z minus z is 5z. 600 minus 200 is 400. Okay, so we got a relation. In fact, we can express x in terms of y and z in terms of y. For example, x can be written as 100 minus 3y by 5. That is 20 minus 3y by 5. Here 5z is equal to 400 minus 2y. Z is equal to 80 minus 2y by 5. Okay. So you can take y any real number, then you will get solution for x and z. I wrote x and z in terms of y. Somebody can write x and y in terms of z. Somebody can write y and z in terms of x. Either way is okay. But if you want integers, okay, for 3y, if you want x to be integer, this should be integer. For that, y should be a multiple of 5. Same thing here. So you can understand y should be a multiple of 5. Not just that, even whatever y you take, your x also should be non-negative. So that means it should be greater than or equal to 0. So 20 minus 3y by 5 is greater than or equal to 0. 20 is greater than or equal to 3y by 5. Y is less than or equal to 100 by 3. From here, what will you get? Even 80 minus 2y by 5 should be greater than or equal to 0. 2y by 5 is less than or equal to 80. Y is less than or equal to 200. Okay, this is also correct. This is also correct. We have to take their intersection, so which is better. And for x and z to be integer, y should be a multiple of 5. X comma for x comma z to be integers, y should be a multiple of 5. So less than or equal to 33 point something, and it should be a multiple of 5. So y can be 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You cannot go beyond that. If you substitute those y values here, we'll get corresponding x and they will be integers and they will be also non-negative. That's it. So how many we got? 3 plus 3, 6 plus 1, 7. If they don't mention integers, infinite solution. So we have 7 solutions. Is it okay? 12th one?
Yes.
Okay, so somebody can look at the 11th question in the meantime, or somebody copying the 12th one, they can copy. Okay, all right, I'm erasing this. Okay, length question. Let me explain the question. We have some quadrilateral A, B, C, D. Any shape doesn't matter, but quadrilateral. Midpoint of AB. Sometimes you see the word convex quadrilateral. Of course, even if they don't mention, we take convex only because let us take like this. Quadrilateral, is it a quadrilateral?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
But this doesn't exactly follow some of the properties that we have. Okay. That is because one of the diagonal of the quadrilateral is outside. Okay. And for example, if I take something like this is also a hexagon. I'm not saying regular hexagon, but it is a hexagon because there are 6 sides. But this diagonal is outside the hexagon, this is outside the hexagon, this is outside the hexagon. Okay, they don't exactly follow some of the properties that we generally talk about polygons and all that. So they are called concave quadrilateral, where concave polygons, where some of the angles are crossing 180 degrees if you go in order. Okay, so that's why you will see convex. Convex means like this way. All the diagonals are inside, no diagonal is outside. Okay, now if I take midpoint of this quadrilateral and this side, and this side, and this side. We all know that when you take midpoints of any quadrilateral 4 sides and join them, we'll get a parallelogram. We may not necessarily use it in this question. This is K, this is L, this is M, this is N. You take point P anywhere you want. Point P anywhere you want. And join to these 4 midpoints. Okay. Not even necessarily the right angle. Okay. So now this alone is one quadrilateral. This alone is one quadrilateral. This is a quadrilateral. This is a quadrilateral. Okay. This is midpoint. So these 2 sides are equal. 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 Okay. Now this point P can be anywhere. And I got 4 more quadrilaterals inside. Can I say this area plus this area is always sum of these 2 areas? You take any quadrilateral, take 4 midpoints of the sides. Take
Yes, sir, we can say.
How?
Sir, draw the line passing through the point and 2 vertices, sir.
Okay.
Sir, the area of triangle NPD equals to area of triangle APN, no, sir.
Why?
Same heights and same bases.
Yeah. In fact, the median for this triangle PN is the median. It divides the triangle into 2 equal areas. Our bases are equal, height is equal. Yes. Yeah. So here they did not ask us to join point P to the vertices, but if you join, it makes some use. So I'm joining to this, and this. Okay. Now this is median. So for this triangle PAB, PK is the median. So these 2 will have equal area. I'll call area as A and A. These 2 have equal area. I'll call B and B. These 2 have equal area. I'll call C and C. These 2 have equal area. I'll call D and D. Okay. So now if you take PKBL quadrilateral, okay, quadrilateral PKBL, and the opposite quadrilateral PNDM. PKBL area is A plus B. PNDM is D plus C. So that is A plus B plus C plus D. If I take these 2, what is that? PNAK. And this one, PLCM. PNAK is D plus A and PLCM is B plus C. Again, it is A plus B plus C plus D. Okay, so they are equal. Well, just draw the same figure once. So take point P, join to the midpoints. P, A, B, C, D. K, L, M, N. Okay. So these two areas sum and these two areas sum are equal. That's what we proved here. So PKBL plus PNDM is equal to PNAK plus PLC. Okay, so for doing this question, what is the concept? Median will divide the triangle into two equal areas. That's all only. Okay, so that's why I'm saying. It is just if you do some questions, you'll get an idea that different properties are used. Otherwise, I don't have to teach. But now, what is the data given in this? PKAN is 25. That is this. PKAN is 25. PLBK, that is this one only. That is 36. PMDN, that is this is 41. And this PLCM they want. Okay, so out of these four, they gave 3, they're asking fourth one. If I bring this side, PLCM 36 plus 41 minus 25. This is 11, this is 52. Is it all right? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Others can just read the 10th one. Okay. Okay, basically what this 10th question is saying is they're defining a new word, almost prime. If a prime number and a number which is not a prime, if they have same tens digit, they are almost prime. If they have same units digit also, they are almost prime. For example, they give 18 and 13, they are almost prime. That is 18 is almost prime because 13 is a prime and 13 and 18 have same tens digit. So A, B is a what you call 2-digit number. A is the tens digit, B is the units digit. if another prime number and this, either A is same or B is same. One of them is same by changing at most one of them. All right.
Sir?
Yes, please.
Sir, then all 2-digit numbers will be almost prime now, sir.
Yes, that is exactly the question. You have to understand. Nothing is that. That is the option, by the way. Why all 2-digit numbers are almost prime, you are saying?
Because in every, means between 20 and 30, 30 and 40, 14, like
Yes.
that, in every row
Yeah.
there is.
Exactly, that is the answer. Is it 11th question? Yeah, between 10 to 19, there is a prime number. 19 itself is a prime number. Because of that, you take 10 or 11 or 12 or 18. Whether they are prime or not doesn't matter. This is prime, and you take anything else, they have same tendency. So 10 to 19 are almost prime, everything. You take 21 to 29, or 20 to 29. Again, 29 is a prime number, or 23 something is a prime number. They all have same tendency, so they are also almost prime. Between 30 to 39, we have a prime number. Let's say 37 is a prime number. Because 37 is a prime number, 30 to 39, everything is almost prime, including 37. Between 41 to 49, some prime number is there. 43 is a prime number. Okay, because 43 is a prime number, everything similarly. So, between 51 to 59, at least one prime number is there, because of they're all almost prime. Between 60 to 69, at least one prime number is there, so all are prime, almost prime. 71 to 79, there's one prime number, so they're all almost prime. Similarly, 81 to 89 and 90, 80 to 89 and 90 to 99. So 10 to 99, everything is almost prime. There are 90 numbers in total. How many 2-digit numbers are there starting from 10 to 99 is 90 numbers. How?
90.
Otherwise, you would, yeah. For filling this, you have 9 choices. For filling this, you have 10 choices. So 9 into 10 is 90. That's why. Or you know all of them. But every 2-digit number is almost prime, because in the same 10th digit, you can find a prime number. Yeah, that is a 10th question. Okay. Okay, 9th question. We have this kind of questions in theory of equations in second year or even JEE Mains and advanced. Okay. We can have these questions even in application of derivatives. Okay. I will tell you how is that. P of 1 is 2, P of 2 is 4. P of 1 is 2, P of 2 is 4, P of 3 is 6, P of 4 is 8. Just by looking at this 4, can somebody tell me what is the polynomial P of x will be?
2x.
P of x equal to 2x. Other than linear polynomial, will there be quadratic, cubic, 4th degree or 10th degree? Can any polynomial will be there satisfying this data? Is that P of x equal to x is the only function, or there will be some more polynomials? If they are there, would you like to give an example, or you just want to say they will be definitely there? Anybody? P of x equal to s is one polynomial. Will there be any more? Yes, there will be a lot of them. Why? These are after all 4. There will be infinite of them. I'll show you also. But apart from that, if you look at the graph, 1, 2, 2, 4, 3, 6, or 4, 8, just 4 points only. Through that, somebody can draw a graph like this, a polynomial. Somebody can draw another polynomial. Okay. So many will be there. Just you are giving after all a 4 points. You're able to tell 2x easily, that's okay. But if they give P of 1 is 100, P of 2 is 1000, P of 3 is 5000, P of 4 is 10,000, doesn't matter. There will be infinite polynomials satisfying those because they're just 4 points. Okay, but here you just notice this. Then tell me some other example. Okay, sir, graph is okay. Give me one example. Oh, I'll give just like that anymore. You take 2x plus x minus 1 into x minus 2 into x minus 3 into x minus 4 into x power 5. Now tell me what is P of 1?
2, sir.
2, because this is 0.
2.
P of 2 is 4, P of 3 is 6, P of 4 is 8, right? I can put power 5 here, power 7 here, whole square here, whole cube here. And instead of x power 5, I can multiply with some x minus 9 whole power 20. You multiply with whatever you want afterwards, I don't care. And these powers you can keep whatever you want. P of 1, this will be 0, answer will come 2. So now tell me, satisfying this 4 data, how many polynomials are there?
Infinite.
Infinite many.
Okay. But the question is, how many cubic polynomials are there? That's the question. Where is the, sorry, this is Hindi version. The number of cubic polynomials, P of x satisfying, P of 1 is 2, P of 2 is 4, P of 3 is 6, P of 4, 8 is. Okay. That you cannot find it. Okay. Why? Either it is 2x or next it must be minimum 4th degree. Okay. So how to express this is, you take P of x minus 2x as some g of x. Okay. At 1, will this value will be 0?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. At 2, this value is 0. At 3, this value is 0. At 4, this value is 0. Means for g of x, there are minimum 4 roots. That means g of x has to be minimum x minus 1 into x minus 2 into x minus 3 into x minus 4 into, you can take into 7 into something else. But these are minimum factors. All right. So either linear polynomial will be there, or next again you have to go for 4th degree polynomial only. Cubic polynomial not possible. Another way of saying the same thing is, let's say this is a cubic expression. When I subtract 2x, will it be a cubic expression? Yes.
Yes, sir.
If I take a cubic expression equal to 0, maximum how many roots can come? Real roots?
3, sir.
3. But we are getting 4 roots, because for this 1 is also 0, 2, at 2 also root, 3 also root, 4 also root. How can a cubic polynomial have more than 3 roots? So it is not possible. So that means there is no such cubic polynomial. Okay. So 4th degree polynomials are there, higher are there, linear polynomials are there. But we cannot find quadratic, we cannot find linear cubic. Quadratic and cubic polynomials satisfying this data will not exist. Okay. So that is the logic here. These are not so important to tell now, but these are past year advanced questions are there, somewhat like this. Not exactly polynomials, so I'll tell you what is the question. Okay. They'll give this, they'll not give this.
Sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay.
Sir, I can say polynomial, cubic polynomial, sir.
You can say cubic polynomial with this data. Tell me.
Sir, 2x minus x minus 1 into x minus 2 into x minus 3.
X minus 1 into x minus 2 into x minus 3. Okay. What is, how P of 4 is 8 now?
Right? Sir, wait, sir. Sir, no, sir.
No. Okay. That's good. Okay. So sometimes you are not clear, you don't want to accept, no problem. You take some time to think. If you realize something yourself, that is sometimes you'll remember better than. Okay. So that's why always we say, teacher will tell some model of questions, but other questions you should try for some time. Even if you are not getting it, again try and all that, because the thought process will help you to develop some subject. Okay. Yeah, it's not possible here. But anyway, I'll tell you a question. It is actually coming in application of derivatives, which is not yet over for you, but still it is a good question. That's why I'm asking. For this, there is a polynomial with this data. All right. Then P dash x equal to 2 will have minimum 3 solutions. P double dash x equal to 2 will have minimum 2 solutions. Okay. How to prove that? Is that There is something called Rolle's theorem, they will tell later. If a function at alpha it is 0, at beta it is 0. In between the function is continuous and differentiable. Then definitely either it will increase to some value and come back, or it will decrease to some value and come back. Okay. Or it may oscillate many times and come back. But doesn't matter. At the topmost point or at the bottommost point, you can see the tangent is horizontal, right?
Yes, sir.
At any point if tangent is horizontal, what is the slope of what is the derivative at that point will be?
0.
0. Okay. So this is actually something called Rolle's theorem, that whenever f of alpha is 0, f of beta is 0, and the function is continuous and differentiable, between alpha and beta somewhere the derivative will be 0. At least one number will be there like that. Okay. So based on that, here you have to get an idea. I have to take g of x is equal to p of x minus 2x. Now you know g of 1 is 0, g of 2 is 0, g of 3 is 0, and g of 4 is 0. Based on what we discussed just now, because g of 1 and g of 2 are 0, between 1 and 2 somewhere g dash x will be 0, na?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. What is g dash x? Where is g of? What is the
0.
derivative of this? No. The derivative of this is p dash x minus 2, right?
Yes, sir.
That's why p dash x minus 2 equal to 0 will have 3 solutions. What is that? One between 1 and 2, one between 2 and 3, and one between 3 and 4. Because g of 2 equal to g of 3, g of 3 equal to g of 4. This is not actually 2, sorry, this will be 0. Okay. Now, let us say between 1 and 2 at alpha, g dash x is 0. Between these two, somewhere at beta, derivative is 0. Between these two, at somewhere at gamma, derivative is 0. Then, for g dash x, we can use Rolle's theorem. Because g dash alpha is 0, g dash beta is 0. Between these two, somewhere the derivative of that, which is second derivative, equal to 0, should have a solution. Similarly, g dash beta is 0, g dash gamma is 0. Somewhere between them, the derivative of that, which is second derivative, should be 0. So, what is the second derivative of this? P double dash x. That should be equal to 0. We'll have minimum 2 solutions. One is between alpha beta, one is between beta gamma. And what are alpha beta gamma? The numbers between 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 3 and 4, where first derivative is 0. Is it clear?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, our main target is not that. I'm just covering something. They will be taught later on in Rolle's theorem and all. Okay. Don't worry. What I want to say is about the polynomial, that either you can have linear polynomial p of x is 2x, or we can next go for fourth degree. Quadratic and cubic is not possible for this. So the number of cubic polynomials is 0. This is 8. What will it be? Okay, this is basically about median. The question is, there are 11 numbers and they have a median. 11 distinct positive integers, they have a median. Now they remove the largest integer, okay, and they replace that with the median of the rest of the other 10 integers. Okay. Now for the new 11 numbers, what is the median will be? Okay, it is not like a formula. You should have some understanding of the median. You can do it. Anyway, as usual, whenever this meeting ends, you rejoin with the same link. It doesn't take too much time to rejoin, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now, generally, how will you find median? You arrange all the numbers in ascending order or descending order. If the total odd number of things are there, the middle number is the median. If you have even number of numbers, there will be 2 middle numbers. Their average is called median. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let me put the numbers in ascending order. Okay. x1 less than x2 less than x3 less than x4 less than x5 less than x6 less than x7 less than x8 less than x9 less than x10 less than x11. Okay. For this, obviously, the median is the 6th number, x6. Okay, now what they said, remove x11. In the place of that, we have to keep a number which is the median of rest of the 10 numbers. For first 10 numbers, what is the median?
x5 plus x6 by 2.
Yeah. So median of x1 to x10 is the two middle numbers, which is x5 plus x6 by 2. Okay. Now I have to remove that number, put this number. Okay. All right. So I hope mostly people joined. It's okay. So for the total 11 numbers, the middle number x6 is the median. Now 11 is removed. The rest of the 10 numbers, there are two middle numbers, their average is the median. I have to remove x11 and replace with it, but I will not keep here because when I put in ascending order, it will come here because it's between x5 and x6. Now again, I got 11 things. What is the median? What I kept, that was the median. Okay. So this is the new median. The new median is directly x5 plus x6 by 2. So original median was x6. This is the old one. The new median was this. Okay. So compared to the original one, what happened to the new median? Decreased or increased?
Decreased.
Decreased.
Okay, that is the question. Okay. So when you replace the biggest one with the median of the rest of them, what will happen is the new median compared to the original median of the 11 numbers. You can easily see it decreased.
Sir?
Yes.
Sir, why you added x5 plus x6 by 2, sir?
For 10 numbers, what is the median? That's why I wrote
Sir,
median.
after adding x6, we should add
No,
that
no.
median, no, sir.
No, they did not say that. What they said is 11 numbers have a median. Okay, let it be. Now remove the biggest number. Find the median of the rest of the 10 numbers. That rest of the 10 numbers median is considered as 11th number in the data. Now if you put that, what is the new median of the fresh data?
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to understand the question here. Let x1, x2, x3, x11 be 11 distinct positive integers. If we replace the largest of these integers by the median of the other 10 integers, not all the 11, other 10 integers, then what happens to the median? Is it okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, if somebody wants to write something or think about it, otherwise 7th question is there on the screen, you can read it. Okay, I'm erasing this. What is this? Let n be the least positive integer such that whenever a non-zero digit c is written after the last digit of n, the resulting number is divisible by c. The sum of the digits of n is. Okay. Anyway, what is this question number 7? Okay. What this question is, for example, let's say 792 is a number. If I put 5 at the end, it should be divisible by 5. If I put 6 at the end, it should be divisible by 6. If I put 7 at the end, it should be divisible by 7. Okay, so take that number, put one more unit digit, whichever number you want, 0 to 9, and that should be divisible by that. Of course, 1 to 9. That is the question. Like that, there are many numbers. Okay, maybe 792 may not be right, but maybe like 792, we can have a, let us say, 25,947 is a number. 259471 should be divisible by 1. That is anyway true. 259472 should be divisible by 2. 259473 should be divisible by 3. 259474 should be divisible by 4. 259475 should be divisible by 5. When I put 6, it should be divisible by 6. When I put 7, it should be divisible by 7. When I put 8, divisible by 8. When I put 9, it should be divisible by 9. Okay. Like that, okay, this may be one number. Like that, many numbers are there. Among them, what is the smallest number? That was the question. One thing is for sure is for 1, we don't have to check. For every number, it is correct. 2 also, we don't have to check. Okay. 5 also, we don't have to check because that is irrespective.
5 also.
Yeah, 5 also, we don't have to check. For 3 also, we can have an idea. What is the test of divisibility for 3?
Sum
of all digits should be
divisible by 3. So already this is a multiple of 3. So this sum should be divisible by 3. That means if original number is divisible by 3, the new number also will be divisible by 3. But for 4, 6, 7, 8, we have to think a little bit. All right. Okay. Let us say I started with 753, for example. When I am writing 7536, I can write this as 753 into 10 plus 6, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
When I have 7539, I can write 753 into 10 plus 9. When I am writing 7534, I can write 753 into 10 plus 4. Okay. So basically what you should understand here, this total number you want to be divisible by 6. But already this is divisible by 6 means this should be divisible by 6. This total number is divisible by 9, you have to check. But already this is multiple of 9, so this should be multiple of 9. This total is already, we want it to be multiple of 4. This is a multiple of 4, so this should be multiple of 4. So whenever you are taking your original number as n, okay, then n1 should be divisible by 1, n2 should be divisible by 2, n3 should be divisible by 3, n4 should be divisible by 4, so on. But n1 can be written as n into 10 plus 1, that should be divisible by 1. N into 10 plus 2 should be divisible by 2. N into 10 plus 3 should be divisible by 3. N into 10 plus 4 should be divisible by 4. N into 5 plus 5, sorry, n into 10 plus 5 should be divisible by 5. N into 10 plus 6 should be divisible by 6. N into 10 plus 7 should be divisible by 7. N into 10 plus 8 should be divisible by 8. N into 10 plus 9 should be divisible by 9. Okay. If this, I don't have to check this, we already done. This is also not required. This is also not required. Okay. Now, if this total is divisible by 3, even this should be divisible by 3. So finally, you can conclude that n into 10 must be divisible by 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. 5 is correct because, not because of n, because 10 is there, 10 is a multiple of 5, so it will be divisible by 5. It should be divisible by 5 also, 2 also, 1 also. But 10 will take care of all of them. So n doesn't have any restriction because of that. No. Next, if you want n into 10 should be divisible by all these things, 3 cannot divide 10, so n should be a multiple of 3. So n should be multiple of 3. In fact, it should be multiple of 9. If it is multiple of 9, it is automatically multiple of 3. Next, It should be multiple of 8.
Sir, multiple of 4, sir. No need 8.
Multiple of 4 is sufficient because 1, 2 can take care of here. You are right. So it should be multiple of 4. Okay. Because it should be divisible by 8. And now even 4 is taken care and 6 is taken care because n is already multiple of 9 and 4. Definitely should be multiple of 7. Okay. So we're taken care of all of them. All right. In fact, it is actually in a sense, after cancelling 1, 2, this is the highest common factor of all these things. The highest common factor of all these things except for 1, 2 is 9 into 4 into 7. Because something, if this should be a factor of this, this should be a factor of this, that means n should be a multiple of 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9 means n should be a multiple of not HCF, sorry, LCM. Okay. N should be a multiple of LCM of these two. Right? Okay. So anyway, n is 9 into 4 into 7. What is 9 into 4 into 7?
252.
252. Okay. So this is the smallest. There are a lot more numbers, but this is the smallest number. You take 252 into whatever you want, and then you check with that, it will come. Okay. Any multiple of 252 will satisfy. So the smallest such number is 252. Now they want sum of the digits of that. 2 plus 5 plus 2 is 9, which is option A. Because if they give that number, somebody can verify from the options. That's why they did not give the number. They asked sum of the digits of that number. Okay. So that's why you see, for this, what theory I should tell before the question. Okay. It is just some general maturity in the maths. Okay. So quite a few questions in KVP were like that. Difficult to say they belong to a particular topic. Yes, you can say to number system and divisibility and all. But still, it is a general question. Okay, all right, I'm erasing this. Okay, 6. C square equal to 2AB. A square plus C square equal to 3B square. They like properties of triangle question kind of thing maybe. And they want the angle BAC, angle A basically. Okay, at least some relation between ABC are given, 2 relations, so we should be able to find some idea. In the place of C square, if you substitute 2AB here, you will get A square plus 2AB, bring this side, 3B square equal to 0. It is like quadratic expression, you can split. A square plus 3AB minus AB minus 3B square equal to 0. Here you can take A common, you will get A plus 3B. Here you can take minus B common, you will get A plus 3B equal to 0. If I take A plus 3B common, I will get A minus B equal to 0. So we got A equal to minus 3B or A equal to B. A equal to minus 3B you cannot take because their length of the sides, they can't be negative. So you cannot take this, this itself. A equal to B. So already we got isosceles triangle. Not just A equal to B, if you substitute here, you will get C square equal to 2AB is 2 into A, which is 2A square, where C is equal to A root 2. Okay, so we got, I think it's a right angle isosceles triangle now. Because one side is A, another side is A, another side is A root 2. It's a right angle isosceles triangle. One angle is 90, one is 45, one is 45. And C is the hypotenuse. So this is C and this is A and this is B, which is where A equal to B. Okay, so if they want angle A, it is 45 degrees. Okay. This question can be slightly different where, let us say, instead of A equal to B, I got A equal to 2B or something. Then I would have kept that 2B here. I would have got some other relation. It may not be right angle triangle, but I'll get everything in terms of A. I can use cosine rule to find the angle also. I think we can create a new question. I'm sure with the ratio we can find other than 45 degrees also. Okay, if somebody want to copy 6-1 copy, otherwise read the question, think about it. Okay. Okay, fifth question, they said we should take a triangle. BAC. In a triangle ABC, angle BAC is 90 degrees. AD is the altitude. Okay, so I have to drop a perpendicular AD from A on BC. Draw DE perpendicular to AC. So this is E. DE is perpendicular to AC. And DF is perpendicular to AB. Suppose AB is 15. Okay, this total is 15. This total is BC. No, BC hypotenuse is 25. What is the length of EF? That is the question. So not at all a difficult question. You should recognize that DEAF is a rectangle. Okay, that is very easy to see. All angles are 90. So DEAF is a rectangle. So instead of finding EF, one diagonal, you can find AD. Okay, that is nothing but altitude of a right angle triangle. So you can find altitude very easily. In fact, if you take this right angle triangle, this is 15, this is 20, this is 25. You want to find this height. You can find area of this triangle in two different ways. Somebody can take this as the base, this as the height. Somebody can take this as the base, this as the height. So area of triangle is equal to half into 15 into 20 or half into 25 into h. So half and half will cancel. You are getting h is equal to 5 3s and 5 4s. 3 into 4, 12. That is exactly AD is equal to 12. That AD is same as EF. Okay. So nothing big. Just you have to recognize, instead of finding FE somehow, understand FE is same as AD. Somebody can use some similar triangles also. You can tell that this triangle is similar to the whole big triangle. Also, you'll be able to find that AD. Okay, this is some question, simple question in arithmetic progressions. So somebody completed these questions. You don't want also, it's okay. Today I'm not planning to discuss 2018. And initially I wanted to discuss, but time is only 4:30. So somebody finished first 3-4 questions. They don't have to wait. Or you just want to listen. There also. All right, done. Fifth question.
Yes.
Okay. Vijayalakshmi, your brother's first semester exams are over?
No,
No. When is the exams?
I don't know.
Okay. Somebody said after Pongal, most people have first semester exams. Maybe some IITs have different. Okay, fourth question, they said first term is 2 and the common difference is 4. And Mn is the average of first 10 terms. So here they defined Mn as first term plus second T1 plus T2 so on up to Tn by n. The average of first n terms of an arithmetic progression they defined as Mn. That is a plus d plus a plus 2d so on up to a plus n minus 1 into d by n. There's an arithmetic progression. It's first term 2, common difference 4. You take first n terms, take their arithmetic mean, the average. That is called Mn. That is basically sum n by 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 into d by n. You can cancel n and n. And you'll get a plus n minus 1 into d by 2. You can see this itself is coming a general term in arithmetic progression. Okay. In fact, if you substitute a value as 2, n minus 1, and this is 2, it is coming 2n. So the average of first n terms of an AP, okay, is actually 2n coming. Another way is what is actually AP? 2, 6, 10, 14, 18, 22, 26. So we keep on adding 4. What is the average of 2? Only 2. What is the average of 2 and 6? 4. What is the average of 2, 6, 10, 18 by 3, 6? Average of 2, 6, 10, 14. You have to add all of them. That is 20, 30, 32 by 4 is 8. Okay. So if you really take average of 1 term, average of 2 terms, average 3 terms, average 4 terms, you can easily see there are coming 2, 4, 6, 8, which are also you can see here 2n. Okay. Now they want sigma mn where n equal to 1 to 10. That is sigma n equal to 1 to 10 2n. If we take 2 common, it is sum of first 10 natural numbers. After take 2 common, it is 1 plus 2 plus 3 so on up to 10. That is 10 into 11 by 2. Cancel. You will get 1. Just a simple question in progression. Just like Mn introduction. All right. Okay, in this third question, they gave P of x is a quadratic expression and they want to replace x with x cube in it. And for that new sixth degree equation, they want how many roots are there? Can they have more than 2 distinct roots? Can it have some minimum value and all? Okay, P of x is equal to x square plus ax plus b, where a and b are real numbers. This equation has 2 distinct roots. It has 2 distinct roots. Now they're talking about g of x, which is p of x cube. I better take this as x minus alpha into x minus beta. So that p of x cube can be written as x cube minus alpha into x cube minus beta. This is still a quadratic expression kind of thing. You know, some are directly quadratic equations, some are you take something as t, they'll become quadratic expression kind of thing. Okay, like that. This is also a quadratic expression where when you solve, we'll get only, let's say take g of x equal to 0, we'll get x cube equal to alpha or x cube equal to beta. Normally x cube equal to alpha, a cubic equation may have 3 roots, but this equation will have only 1 real and other 2 complex roots will be there. X cube equal to alpha, what is the only solution we have?
X equals cube root of alpha.
That's it. So x is equal to cube root alpha, x equal to cube root beta. Other roots will not be real. Or if somebody wants to factorize it, okay, x cube minus alpha can be written as x minus cube root alpha plus x square plus x into cube root alpha plus cube root alpha whole square. Similarly, you can write x minus cube root beta into x square plus x into cube root beta plus cube root beta whole square. But this cannot have any real roots. If you try to find b square minus 4ac, it will come less than 0. Okay. So this and this doesn't have any roots. So it has exactly 2 distinct real roots because alpha and beta are distinct. Cube root alpha and cube root beta are also distinct. So g of x equal to 0 has 2 distinct roots only. Okay, more than 2 roots. What about the minimum value? If you are looking for minimum value, yes, please.
Sir, it have a minimum value.
Yeah, it has a minimum value, correct. Because in fact, you take any polynomial with odd degree, sorry, even degree, with leading coefficient positive, will have minimum value. Why? If you take x power 6 something something something, at plus infinity, what is the limit of this?
Infinity.
At minus infinity, what is the limit of this?
Plus infinity.
So it starts with plus infinity, comes down, maybe oscillate many times and goes back, but it has a minimum value. If it is going from minus infinity to plus infinity, it will not have minimum value. If you take any cubic equation, 5th degree equation, 7th degree equation, 9th degree equation, they will not have minimum value. Their range is definitely all real numbers. But whenever you take even degree, if leading coefficient is positive, maximum will be infinity, minimum will be there. If leading coefficient is negative, the graph will be like this. It will have minimum minus infinity, there will be maximum. That is one way. And the way to understand this is, whatever is the minimum of p of x, g of x minimum is also that only. Why? Let us say p of x, if I make perfect square, I'll get x plus a by 2 whole square plus b minus a square by 4. So only p of x, what is the minimum? B minus a square by 4 or 4b minus a square by 4. Okay, 4ac minus b square by 4a, also you can use the formula same. If I take g of x, what it is after all? P of x cube. Replace x with x cube plus a by 2 whole square plus b minus a square by 4. Something whole square minimum is 0. Again, same minimum only. Same minimum. Okay. So not only that I can tell that it will have minimum value, it will have same minimum value of original p of x. Is it all right? Okay, we have 2 more questions to go. So third question solution is there on the screen. You can look at it. If somebody has doubt, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll do it for a second. So to discuss a paper for 20 questions, it's taking 3 hours. Morning 1.5 hour. Now also a little more than 1 hour. Okay, I'm erasing this. Okay, they gave a quadratic equation. It should have 2 distinct real roots. For a quadratic equation to have distinct real roots, b square minus 4ac should be greater than 0. Okay, first of all, small b not equal to 0. And the equation is 2x square plus bx plus 1 by b equal to 0. Okay. This should have 2 distinct real roots, means for this the discriminant, d should be greater than equal to 0, which is b square minus 4 into 2 into 1 by b should be greater than 0. Okay, b square is greater than 8 by b. I can bring b this side and write b cube greater than 8 and b greater than 2. Is it okay?
No, sir.
What is not okay?
Sir, B can be negative also, no, sir. So you
Yeah.
can't.
We can't bring b here because b is positive, can multiply with b, inequality will not change, but b may be negative, so it's not right. If somebody done like this, they may easily think option A is correct, because b plus 1 by b, when b is 2, it will become 5 by 2, of that greater than 5 by 2, they may think, but no. If I bring this side, I'll get b square minus 8 by b greater than 0. That is b cube minus 8 by b greater than 0. This is b minus t into b square plus 2b plus 4 by b greater than 0. This is an equation with roots complex, or it is always positive. In fact, you can write this if you want as b plus 1 whole square plus 3, which is always positive. So everything depends on this. If I take number line 0 and 2, after 2 it is positive, negative, positive. So you got either b less than 0 or b greater than 2. Okay. Now they give different options. Option B will not be right, because when b is negative, okay, b plus 1 by b also will be negative, because this is negative, this is negative. So whereas option A says b plus 1 by b is greater than 5 by 2. That is correct for this part. For this part, no doubt, b plus 1 by b is greater than 5 by 2, but not for this. So that's why this option A is not correct. Option B, they gave less than 5 by 2, which is wrong for this. Option D, they gave b square plus 1 by b square is less than 4. That is also not correct, because if I take this, b square plus 1 by b square can be very high value. If you take minus 100, minus 1000, minus 1 lakh, so it can be even greater than 4, but they give less than 4. So only option is option C is left. B square minus 3b plus 2 greater than 0. B square minus 3b plus 2 greater than 0. Is it right? When this is 2, let us check. This is b minus 1 into b minus 2 greater than 0. If I take number line 1 and 2, after 2 it is positive, before 1 positive. Okay, so this statement is true for, okay, this is 1 and this is 2. So this statement is true for b belongs to minus infinity to 1 union 2 to infinity, which is actually a subset of our answer. Okay, this is subset of whatever we got. Okay, minus infinity to, that means whenever this happens, this will happen, but whenever this happens, this may not happen because 0 to 1 also this is covering extra, right? Okay, but for our interval of minus infinity to 0 union 2 to infinity, this is greater than 0. No problem with that. This is not subset of this, this is subset of this. If somebody want y equal to b square minus 3b plus 2 graph, it will be like this. This is 1 and this is 2. But we want only between minus infinity to 0, it is positive. After 2, it is positive. So fine. No problem. Minus infinity to 0, 2 to infinity, it is positive only. Okay, so mainly you have to understand our b belongs to minus infinity to 0, union 2 to infinity, and in that interval, this is greater than 0. Other options are not satisfied. Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have another 3 minutes, so I have to restart again. I'll just finish this. The very first question, we discussed this in properties of triangles. In IP only it is there. What is for an equilateral triangle, what is the ratio of circumradius to inradius? Okay, somebody may use this formula, capital R by small r means, write small r as 4r sin A by 2, sin B by 2, sin C by 2, cancel capital R, put A 60, B 60, C 60, you will get to a 1 by 2 or 2. But you don't need. If you take an equilateral triangle, draw the 3 medians or altitudes or everything is same. Because this is in center, this length is smaller. Because this is circumcenter, this length is capital R. And because this is centroid, this length will be double of this. So smaller, capital R equal to 2 times smaller, capital R by smaller equal to 2. So whatever equilateral triangle you take, every time the circumradius is double of inradius. So always 2, it doesn't change. That's exactly the question. That's all. Okay, got it. Okay, I'll just share the first question. Showing. Yeah, let ABC be an equilateral triangle with side length A. Let capital R and small r denote the radii of the circumcircle and incircle of triangle ABC. Then as a function of A, the ratio capital R by small r. If we change the side length, will the ratio of circumradius and inradius change? No, it doesn't change. It is always true. All right, we'll stop here and we'll meet again on the Republic Day after tomorrow. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so when this meeting ends, you don't have to rejoin. You can leave.